Hello, everybody. I'm Anick Patry, and I'm delighted today. I have a very, very special guest from the States, an amazing woman, Sierra Sullivan.
Hey, hey.
Sierra, welcome, welcome. So good to connect with you this morning in sunny Sydney.
And it's dark New York over here, getting dark.
New York. Yeah. Great. So, the way we're gonna have a conversation, a conscious conversation this morning, and there'll be some amazing conscious women popping up during our call today, and so everybody's muted. So you're welcome to join when you're ready to join, but everybody will be muted. So I'm just gonna, before I introduce you and we get into the juicy conversation, Sierra, I'm just gonna invite us to center ourselves. It's always good to land and with a little short meditation to ground ourselves together. So I'm just gonna invite everybody who are watching the replay as well to sit comfortably wherever you are. Invite you to take a big breath in, as imagine that you were breathing the sunshine from the top of your head, bringing it all the way down into your spine, all the way down into your legs, bringing that beautiful bright light, warm sun all the way down into the ground, pushing through into the earth and landing into the center of the earth. And again, I invite you to breathe in the sun from the top of your head, warm, bright light, all the way down into your body, all the way along your spine, down to your pelvic area, down into your legs, feet, pushing through into the ground, the earth, and landing all the way down into the middle of the earth. Third time for Trinity, Mother, Father, and Child, bringing the sunshine from the top of your head, breathing that in, the warmth and the light, all the way down into your spine, all the way into your pelvic area, legs, feet, all the way down into the ground, and landing into the center of the earth. Just invite you to tie it up like this light, just kind of like pile or column of light on a big rock or giant crystal. And just sway a little bit on the right and the left. And just remember that you are always, always, always safe, loved, and provided by Mother Earth. No matter what happens outside, you are always safe, always loved, grounded, and provided by Mother Earth. And so it is.
So it is.
Let it go. When you're ready, you can open your beautiful eyes. Yay! That was nice. Beautiful. So Sierra Sullivan, amazing rock star. So here I'm gonna read our little bio to introduce Sierra. And here we are. Sierra Sullivan is an empowerment mentor, experience designer, a pussy oracle and sacred journey guide for women and couples who seek more truth and alignment in life, in love, and relationship. She helps her tribe of awakened seekers to reclaim their divinity, design their reality to fit their desires, and increase their ability to pleasurably, I like that, and powerfully magnetize and manifest what they truly want in life using sacred practices, rituals, ceremony, and a whole lot of fun and play. Wow. Amazing, huh? So Sierra, I've met you online, basically. I haven't met you
these days.
Yeah, that's how we met these days. Not in person yet, but I'm sure it'll happen one day. Mm-hmm. And so we met because I was listening to a radio show with Jodie England, and you were interviewed there about the Pussy Oracle reading. And I got totally mesmerized and blown away that such thing exists, I must say. And I had the honor, the privilege, and the extraordinary experience to have a Pussy Oracle reading on my own pussy, my own vagina, which I was a little bit resistant about at the first, but I followed my inner guidance, my intuition, and I had a big attraction. I was like, I'm a whole yes, I'm a whole body yes to that experience. And at the time, in mid-late 2017, I had a near-death experience. I had a sudden illness, a traumatic illness, as most of you know here. And I was skin and bones. And I was really skinny, I was really sick, and I could feel only like pain in my body. And I really was like, I was searching for something to reconnect me with pleasure, with my body. And that's where Sierra popped into my life. Like, life is so amazingly designed and organic and there to work for us when we allow it to. So, I had a reading. So Sierra, tell us about this pussy reading. What is it? I'm sure we've got Kim jumping in. So hi, Kim, darling. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Sierra, please just share your what it's all about.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to say. I mean, where should I begin? So what is an actual Pussy Oracle reading? Is that the best place to begin, you think?
You can begin there. Yeah. And I want to know like how you've discovered that and your whole journey. So yeah, we can start with what is it like? Welcome, Calandra.
Yeah, welcome. Well, it's much, when I tell women that I'm a Pussy Oracle reader, that much like you, they're like, wait, what? Wait, is that? And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what you think it is. What I've discovered that much like palmology or iridology or even Chinese face reading, that the design of our sacred portals, our pussies, our yonis, whatever word you want to choose for it, has encoded in it a map, some symbols, messages that can be read and understood and interpreted to help a woman discover more about her path, her purpose, her power, her storyline, and so much more. And it is quite a fascinating thing. It's something that I don't want to say I stumbled upon it. It really, I feel like the divine feminine herself chose and initiated me to lead this work. It's work that I have been forming myself. There's a whole long story we can get into in a moment if we want about how I got here. But essentially I was called forth. I had been empowering women. I've been in the women's empowerment track and personal development work for nearly 2 decades. So I've been working on many, many facets of women and, awakening us to our divine feminine, helping us really discover the depth of our power through pleasure, through play, through fun. And so it's not that far off beat from me, but it took a lot in my life that I had to let go of for me to even be available for this, because I had a lot of pussy shame myself. And this was never anything that I would ever have said I'm going to be when I grow up. So
right.
Yeah, it's essentially an emerging, I've been actually actively doing Pussy Oracle readings for 3 years now, but it's a newer piece of my service to women. So.
Yes. On your own path of evolution and of service. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, Sierra, so about all this. I mean, just inviting women on this call were like, some people were a bit resistant. And yeah, there's like we've been conditioned with so much shame and hiding like sexuality. It's not something, and a vagina, like we're not receiving the love and care and the education at school and with our mother. I mean, certainly in our generation, it's not something that we learn a lot about. It's dirty, or we don't talk about it, or it's kind of, you have to do your own sort of self-discovery about it,
Mm-hmm.
and so how did it came up for you? Like, how did you overcome that shame and being able to talk about it like in public and look, let's face it, a reading for me, like, I had to take photos of my own pussy in my still sort of in recovery body when I was not at my peak in beauty, and it was like, oh my God, it was like such a process. So what about your own healing with your own pussy, Sierra?
Yeah, I've been sharing a lot about this. I have a Facebook group, and I've been doing some live videos, and I've been actually sharing more of my own pussy shame story, which I forgot that I actually had a lot of pussy shame. But much like you just described, I'm finding that nearly a huge population of the world is in pussy shame. And this is why what I'm bringing to the world is a little bit shocking and still a bit taboo. Because we've been told that it's ugly, or that it should be tucked away or hidden, or that, I say that pussy is either overly sexualized or overly shamed, and oftentimes both, right? So we're dealing with a real crisis, I think, where I'll just say this thing and then I'll come back to my own pussy shame. One of the things that in my journey of empowering women and the many years that I've been doing this, I never thought that I would be supporting women in a conversation, let alone showing, their portal, their pussies, in a not public way, but to me. And then in some of the ceremonies and the live events that I do, there is, an actual, like, in front of other women, an unveiling and a sacred ritual that I take women through. And if you had told me I was going to do this, 5-10 years ago, I was like, no way. I was very much a believer that I was going to talk about the whole woman and the empowerment of women and more the spiritual growth of women. But I wasn't going to talk about anything sexually related. And my work is actually not even sexually related. It's really, it is still a very spiritual, sacred path of
Yes.
creation for women. And we can talk about what I mean by that in a minute as well. But I learned to embrace my own pussy by attending a woman who's written a book on this. Her name's Regina Thomas Schauer, and she has a school in New York City called the School of Womanly Arts. And she wrote a book 3 years ago, right around the same time I was initiated into this work, ironically. And it was called Pussy. It's called Pussy, a Reclamation. And so she's been a pioneer in this field amongst many, many women who have come before me, who've been pioneering this work on many levels. So I really just want to honor every woman that has given me a chance to have a voice in this realm, because it hasn't always been as open and available as it is now. So I really honor each and every pioneer before me. And she has these classes, and I attended one of her weekend workshops, and I was very much like, I get what she's teaching. She's really teaching women's empowerment. She's teaching about pleasure. So am I. I really get that, but I don't understand this whole pussy thing. It still seems a little bit off to me. But I couldn't deny the amount of transformation that I was seeing in the women that were in attendance at this event, and how many women. And at that point, I think when I found her, she had been teaching her various courses for at least 17 or more years at that time. Somewhere around there, a significant amount. And she had women from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all ages, all ethnicities, all religious. I mean, there's so much diversity in that room. And for all these women to be embracing the conversation of pussy, I thought, okay, this woman's onto something. So, I mean, like, she had like 800 women in that room. And I thought, okay, there's something here. And so I eventually signed up and took her deep dive course, which was a 4-month course. And I was confronted head first with my own pussy shame, which was probably what many women listening to this or, can relate to. I felt that, again, they were ugly. I felt that they smelled. I thought that they should be hidden. I thought it feels really gross. Like there was like a disgust in my body around it, which is embarrassing, really, considering how far I've come now. But I had been conditioned from the patriarchy to disconnect from one of the most sacred parts of our bodies and to really see it as gross and disgusting. And I'd had lovers who thought it was the most amazing thing, as many men do. But I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And it took me taking that course. And I remember one of the first days of the course, there was an opportunity, and she's not teaching this course anymore. This was the last year she taught it, but I also don't want to reveal too much in case she brings it back. But there was a moment where there was some sort of pussy reveal, very benign, very minor. But I was like ready to walk out of the room. I was so like, I'm not doing this. And thank God I convinced one of my bestest girlfriends to take the course with me. And she looks at me and she's like, no, you're not. You signed me up for this course. We are doing this. And so I joined the celebration that was happening around the pussy thing that she was offering and inviting us into. And I think that really broke me free of to start, because I found in my own service to this mission that when we normalize it, when we can get beyond the taboo and the conditioning and the beliefs that we hold that are more negative, women become enamored, like myself. They're like, what? Why aren't we looking at each other's pussies more often? Why aren't we talking about this? There's such a lack of conversation, even just healthy conversation about this in the world still today, although it's changing a lot. And how quickly we can alchemize and appreciate something that we have an aversion to, which is our own bodies. I mean, one of the things I say all the time, because it's so potent, it's so powerful, is think about the power of pussy. Every single human being on this planet was brought to us through pussy, right? It's the portal of all life. Now, that's something. That is something. And we're all walking around with that portal of life, which is the most amazing gift to this planet. None of us would be here without pussy, one way or the other. Even if we were C-section, we were inseminated usually most often through pussy, and we were most often birthed through pussy. But regardless, it's meant to be the portal of life. And for us to feel any sense of shame or any sense of disconnect from that is a travesty, and it's going to hold women back forever if we don't change that.
Wow, that's very powerful. Makes so much sense, right? Yeah, I mean, we're giving life. It's just, yeah. There's still a lot of work to do, but I mean, at least, we're here.
Yeah,
we're here. We're having this conversation.
Yay.
So yeah, good on you for following through and following the inner guidance and educating people on this. I mean, I've learned so much, Sierra, about my own pussy, because you can see archetypes. Like there's all sorts of characters in there. Like I'm like, oh my God, like I never look at it so closely, like. Yeah. I'm so glad I'm still alive for that experience, because it's like, because I don't have children and I won't have children in this lifetime, but I had many in past life, but anyway, in this body. Mm-hmm. And so just to look at it so closely, the shape, the dimension and the lines, it kind of creates archetypes. I know in mine, I had like a Kundalini snake.
Yes.
Literally, and I was so excited. I saw an elephant, and all the meaning of if you're into it, reading a bit further, deeper, like the Ganesh, the abundance, the elephant, and like all of that, which is inside of us.
Yeah.
You know, this power, and it gives you clues, indication of who you are and your purpose, and more like where to focus, what are your strengths, and where you know, are areas where, you know, you're not quite, you could heal more, or integrate, not heal, there's nothing to heal, but rather to integrate more. I found it absolutely fascinating. There was a lady with a hood there, as I remember. Like, I was listening to the recording, because it's a year ago now.
Yeah.
I think about a year ago I had my reading, and I was listening before going to bed last night to the recording, and all the gems. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. So much fun.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. So much.
Totally. And it's different from each woman, I'd assume, because there's like different look. And even images you share in your educational webinars, Sierra, like images. Yeah, tell us about all these images, you know, like you can find pussies in so many different places. I find it fascinating too. Do you want to share about that?
Totally. Yeah. So I teach a class called Secrets of the Universe, which for anybody that's a little bit shy and maybe aren't quite ready for a personalized reading to bear it all, I would recommend checking that out. And it's secretsoftheuniverse.com, and it's a free class that I have online. And
the Secrets of the Universe. Yeah.
Secretsoftheuniverse.com. And and we can put it in the chat in a bit, or maybe you can pop it in the chat, secretsoftheuniverse.com. And, you know, what I found is that the shame part can be healed very quickly. Like so I do is I take women through a slideshow of all of the different variations of how pussy shows up in nature, right? Because pussies are in trees, and pussies are in, flowers, and pussies are in rocks, and pussies are in all sorts of formations everywhere, from fruit. I mean, if lots of fruits have the divine design of pussy in them. And so, you know, it's like a whole array of these beautiful imagery. And then I show the real thing. And by the time the real thing comes on the screen, women are like, oh, wow, right? Versus like, ooh, what's that? Or, but I don't want to, you know, or I feel shameful, or, you know. And so it really helps us understand that we are part of nature. We like to think we're not, because we're living in these buildings and living in all these technologically modern ways, and forgetting that we come from nature. We are nature, and the design of human bodies and is in nature, and nature's reflecting that back to us. And so it's really powerful for women to understand the potency of the beauty of the divine design. And then, of course, in their own divine design, like I really love what you just shared, you know, the ways that you can understand yourself more. And a lot of times in the readings, particularly, there'll be practices that are showing up that I would invite women to do more, that will help them on their path. And that gets revealed in just the way that the labias might be folding, or the hair's growing or not growing, if you're, and there's usually 3 faces to pussy that I ask for the 3 different pictures. One is resting, one is slightly bloomed, and the other one is full bloom. And so there's 3 different faces that I can see different symbols and imagery and stories that get revealed. And oftentimes, when I read a woman, she says to me, I would say maybe 75 to 80% of the readings that I've done, what has been revealed is not that big a news to the women. A lot of times they're like, oh yeah, that's been something I've known for a long time, but I just haven't fully, like you said, integrated it. And I say, well, it's in your divine design, so you can't actually argue with it. Like, so like you've known it, you've felt it, and now here we're seeing it, and your pussy is the full design of it is right there. So it's time to live it. It's time to embrace that. It's time to, express more of that in your life in some way or another. So
beautiful. Yeah, that's gorgeous. The images I remember in the educational webinar, you share the universe, the secrets of the universe. There's images of fruits, like there's a vagina, there's a pussy shape in fruit and flowers, in leaves, trees. Like oh my gosh, I was like, wow, blown away. In shelves, you know, on the beach, like, it's just so organic and real, like all these archetypes. It's like, 'cause I truly believe with patterns, like you know, archetypes and patterns are
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
In humanity and nature, like we are nature. We're totally, you know, organic. We're part of nature. We're an animal with a thinking mind and a consciousness. I mean, we're way bigger than that, but we are that as well. We're part of nature, and to see all these shapes, and it's beautiful when you see it in a flower. It's beautiful. Why not beautiful in your own body, you know? Exactly. Beautiful and loving and adoring and cherishing that part of us, like anything else of our body, but really that sacred portal of, you know, giving life. And the pleasure, I mean, there's nothing like an orgasm, let's face it, you know. Like there's
so true.
Like, you know, it's just like one of the gifts that we, to experience pleasure. And it's like when we manifest something, it's like that kaboom thing, you know. When you're in manifestation, you manifest the peak vibration of joy. Well, an orgasm is that.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's pure bliss. It's being in a zone where there's nothing else than that explosion of joy, purely.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know?
Oh yeah, it's the creative life force, right? Like orgasm is creation energy at its core.
Yeah. I love that conversation about, because I'm very passionate about you know, speaking truth and manifestation. Like, I'm really, really passionate about that. That's my calling. Expressing truth and living truth, and you know, and creativity. Like they're my thing.
Beautiful.
They're my thing.
Yeah.
And I love your thing too. Yeah, I had so many judgment. Here we got Louise coming. Welcome, darling. So tell us about, okay, so the first step would be to engage with you well, here. Then is the first step. Second step would be to go to the secrets of the universe, Yoniverse. And learn a bit more about what you do and all these shapes, and, you know, all the possibilities around, you know, education around pussy, and how you use it yourself for your own manifestation. That's the thing that that's really special, that I haven't tapped into yet. And then the third experience would be to have a one-on-one reading with you, which I had. Where am I going with that?
Well, there's also
you go, you take over.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Because that's a big leap sometimes for a lot of women, right? To, like, you know, a lot of us are just unearthing, you know, our connection to pussy. So I've created, because I realized going just from Secrets of the Universe and awakening to that, to just go right into a personal reading. Some women are ready and it's amazing, and some women are like, oh, I don't know, it's still scary, because when you do a reading with me, they're almost always virtual. So which requires you, what you shared, to take a picture of your pussy and to connect with your pussy in advance of the reading, which is a bit edgy, and it's a tricky thing. And so one of the things that I would say is I also have a Facebook group called the Pussy Collective. And in that Facebook group, that was created so that we could have more dialogue, so we could warm women up. I do a Facebook Live every Tuesday, United States time. I guess it's probably in the middle of the night for all of you, but I do Facebook Lives. And one of the things I love that you touched upon is the pussy magic piece and the manifestation piece, because what happens is, since I've been, I also love manifestation, and I have a course called The Art of Effortless Feminine Manifestation, which is about using the power of pleasure, play, and fun to manifest more without having to work so darn hard. It's a separate topic, but not very separate. They're very aligned. But before I was, initiated into the pussy realm, that was a big thing I would teach. And what I found since being more deeply connected to my own pussy and helping women connect more to their own pussies as well, is the manifestation power actually increases, because now we have, if you think about it, and I mentioned the portal of all life. So the portal of all life, I'm literally like to say to people, it's like a map has been hidden and nobody knows it exists and everybody's afraid to look for the map. And now that I've discovered that there's a map that you can actually read, but you have to be willing to expose this beautiful, divine, sacred part of yourself to read the map and expose it to yourself or expose it to me, or come to a live gathering, you know, at some point that I'll offer, or you could expose it in a group, which is really powerful because it, like I said earlier, it normalizes and opens up just such freedom in women when we can witness this in a group. It's one thing to do the one-on-one. It's another thing to be in a room full of women. I have an offering called Pussy Church, which is basically at a live gathering. I'll invite women to share about their pussy story, which varies. I'll show the secrets of the Yoniverse, so it warms them up. And then I'll usually demonstrate one woman and take her through a specific reclamation ritual. And then I'll also, well, she gets to lie in front of the women and then expose her beautiful divine portal. I'll do a mini reading. The women are like, oh, like they're on the edge of their seat every time. And any room I've ever done this in, even if women are like, I got to get out of here, they all stay. They're all transformed. The women who receives is transformed. It's a major alchemy that goes on. And it's really powerful. I'm still figuring out my platform and how often I do them and where I do them. And oftentimes I'll be invited into other women's retreats. It's a good pairing for women that are teaching sexuality. But basically, you know, the biggest thing is let's just get raw and real around this conversation. It's, you know, if you're not ready to expose yourself to yourself, although I'm constantly encouraging women to at least take a pussy selfie, because when you take a pussy selfie, which God bless technology, you can see her like anybody else. You got her right here, versus looking in the mirror where you're still kind of, it's a little awkward. You're seeing the reflection, but when you can take a picture, you can see her. So what I recommend is the map, the piece of the magic piece is the map gives us not only just an understanding into ourselves, but when you're looking into the pussy portal, you're literally looking into a whole new world. Like if, again, human life comes through the portal into this reality, imagine looking through the portal, you can see, it feels like to me, other realities, other possibilities, other dimensions. I mean, saying this, it sounds a bit woo-woo. It's a bit woo-woo, but the reality is any portal, right, is a passageway to something different. So it could be a passageway to just shifting your perception, which then creates miracles. Of course, the miracles talks about a miracle being a change in perception. So just even changing your perception around this part of yourself will open you up to a new way of seeing the world and seeing yourself. And then from there, you can make way different choices, especially, oh, and I'll say this, because this is the part I alluded to earlier about why this is not a sexual thing. In any live demonstration, or if I do an in-person reading or anything, there's no touch on my part. Like there's nothing touching. The woman's going to touch herself if I need her to open up. And the piece that I'm most interested in at this juncture is to remove the sexuality piece from pussy long enough to put her up on a pedestal. Again, divine mother, right? The portal of all life. Let's put her up on the pedestal for all of us to see, to recognize the power, the beauty, the magnificence, the magic that she offers, the messages that she's here to give. And then when a woman can understand the divinity of which she is through seeing pussy through that divinity, then we have a whole new conversation to bring to our sexuality that typically isn't actually what the world is doing. The world is over-sexualizing us, so right? And so women are responding to, again, the patriarchal version of what pussy is, and then again with our shame mixed in. It's a messy, messy sexual world out there, and we're making choices that don't necessarily honor her, and if it's not honoring her, it's not honoring us. And for us to really get the divinity, the majesty, the magic, the potency, the power, the beauty of pussy, then translates into knowing that for ourselves, which then translates into way more empowering decisions. And a quick example is pussy needs a lot more than we think she does to actually experience pleasure. And we live in a culture, most westernized cultures, and I would say a lot of cultures, where pussy doesn't really get a chance to be warmed up properly. And I learned from a dear friend of mine who teaches about the science of pleasure and the neurology of pleasure, that a wet pussy doesn't mean a ready pussy. An engorged pussy is what makes us actually ready. A pussy that wants to grab the cock or grab the whatever, the finger, or grab, and pull pleasure towards her. But oftentimes we're forcing something inside of her because we want to just get there. We live in a world that's like, hurry up, let's just get there. Let's just get there. Let's go for the quickie, whatever, the quickie, the fast food, whatever, the fast and furious world that we've been creating. And that is where I think a lot of women have, and myself included, when I rush pussy, which is like crazy to think, like no pussy likes to be rushed, really. But when I do, because I'm in my mode or I'm, my conditioning, I have like a fraction of the pleasure that I can actually receive as to when I'm actually letting her be warmed up, letting her lead, listening to her no, speaking on behalf of her no's, not yet, wait, even though I might be excited and want it. And then once I get her to that point, when she's ready, when I'm ready, then the pleasure is 10 to 100 times more than it could be, and it would be. Wow. Have I just like, yeah, great, I'm a little wet, put it in, go. And I'm like, not so good. And, I'm sure a lot of you ladies can relate. This is what happens. Not so good. Okay. It's like pizza, even bad pizza is still good pizza. But is it really,
Yeah, totally. I totally hear you, and I totally resonate here, Sierra. That's pretty profound, actually, because it's like anything, like becoming a magnet for for money, for pleasure, for receiving, basically allowing it to take that all in and receive like the ecstatic infinite abundance of joy. It comes, for me it's the joy vibration, really, and it's in that bliss that opening up to receive. And certainly in my conditioning, there's been so much contraction in the way I've been raised to constantly contract, and such a rigidity around enjoying life, around receiving ourselves, and it's such a powerful tool, I guess, that's been given to us, our pussy, to become conscious of it. It's a tool. It's a way to become really aware, because how we do one thing is how we do everything.
Totally.
How we do one thing is how we do everything.
Yeah. Right. And so if we're really not honoring what our pussy's telling us, and a lot of women, and again, myself included, I've been on my own journey. I teach what I most need to learn, or I'm teaching, we're all women here figuring it out together. A lot of women will say, well, I don't know if it's my pussy speaking. How do I know the difference between my pussy and my head? And, and it takes some time to figure that out. But I will say, and I'm a visual person, not everybody's visual, but I really need to be able to see. And that's actually what got me on this whole path in the first place, was when I went to the Mama Gina School of Women in the Arts. I was like, yeah, but am I really listening to my pussy? I don't know. I need to see her. So I actually took my first pussy selfie and was like, wow, like I could zoom in, I could see her, and that helped me connect with her more. And the one thing I'll say is, from like even just a basic, even if you don't think it's like pussy, or this feels a little bit out there for you or whatever, but if you think about anything that you're aligned with in life, you're going to have some essence of turn on, right? You're going to feel, your pussy might even actually physically feel a little wet.
Yeah.
if you're wet and juiced up, and it doesn't have to mean literally your pussy being wet and juiced up, you being wet and juiced up, then
Yeah.
it's a yes. And if you're, like you said, contracted and shut down, well, then there's something that needs to be looked at, explored. There's something, maybe a need is not being met, a condition's not being met. There's something, yeah, most often it's a need. And so to allow pussy to be the guiding force for our yeses and for our nos, and to recondition, because we've pushed past her no a lot as women. We've made choices to dishonor her. Again,
Totally.
based on conditioning, we're all figuring it out. We're in a new age. Things are changing, but we have. I don't think there's a woman that I've met yet that hasn't experienced some sort of even minor trauma around her pussy, because she has said yes when she meant no, even if it's a yes soon, but it's just a yes too soon, right? Like, and that really has caused an impact. And so we have some healing to be done. We have some reconnecting to be done, and we have some awakening of this divine part of ourselves to be brought into the forefront of humanity. And I even like to use the word pussy, even though I would rather use the word flower or sacred portal, even yoni. But those words are not, people are like, what does that mean? And so I use the word pussy to actually activate a healing around where we've been shut down, because pussy has been a word that has typically come as an insult, or typically been a nasty word. And so I'm part of that literally reclamation group of women, because I think it really, if I throw the word pussy into a room, I can immediately tell by people's reactions where they are on their actual love or disgust of pussy. So it's like a litmus.
Yeah, right. A barometer. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Exactly.
A barometer. Yeah, 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 yeah. With my lovely French accent. Yeah, yeah.
I love it. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great. What came to me as you were expressing yourself so beautifully and clearly, it's power. It's our power. When you talk about, like, literally boundaries, saying yes to saying no, because a lot of women been raped or forced, or go to sex to please, like they go to, I mean, it started from a very young age. I remember this is very personal, but as a kid, I call it my zuzu. Like, it's kind of a gentle way. It's very cute, but I call it my zuzu, and she's got a name. My car has a name. Everything I cherish and love and appreciate in my life, they've got a little nickname. Very cute.
I love it.
I'm unique Anick. So I love her. I love her very much. She's really sweet and powerful. Yeah, the power. That's where I want to. The power of pussy or vagina, the attraction. It's powerful to be able to say a clear no, not yet, or no, I don't want that, and a clear yes. This is a really powerful, again, part of our body that can indicate whether we want that in or not. And it's just not with sexuality, it's just all areas of our life, like energetically, someone crossing your boundary, coming in, and we feel that, and using pussy as an indicator, barometer, to because we've got a lot of power when you make a man wait to claim you. Everyone's you're married, everyone's at different places. I used to be married, but I'm dating now, and I see my power. Like, the man, what he wants to get into your pants, like ASAP. Totally. He wants that badly, you know what I mean? And I want that too. But my job is to hang on a minute, you know what I mean? Show of yourself. Who are you? What values? How are you treating yourself? How are you treating me? I want to check him out, because otherwise, if I let him in too quickly, depending on what you want in life, but I mean, at my age where I'm at in life, I respect myself, I honor myself, I value myself, I love myself. And so it is, and so it shall be. And so before I let him into this intimate place and being vulnerable and giving him all my love and joy and my ecstatic bliss and my beautiful self, hang on a minute, you know what I mean? And I have that power, and it's very magnetic and powerful. And applying that in all areas of our life, like, I just find it fascinating, just I mean, it's not my teaching, but what I've learned from your shared and educational share, and It's just, wow,
Well,
powerful.
you were a beautiful spokesperson just there, because that is so true. And we have dishonored that power by not realizing that power and by making it too easy. And then, having to clean up our own messes around that on multiple levels. And so when we don't have a relationship with the part of ourselves that beholds that power, I mean, if you think about, any person whose persuasion is towards women, they want pussy. They want your pussy, right? That's their attraction. They really, really,
Yeah.
really want that. And
Yeah.
and I know for the men in my life who are heterosexual, they're always thinking about pussy. That's just like they can't get it off their mind. And right, and yet, but we're not honoring it ourselves to even invite the honoring from them. And not that they're dishonoring. And there's a lot of beautiful, healthy men in the world that are so honoring, and yet we see as a norm a lot of dishonoring, which again is shifting and changing massively. And we're doing our part, and we're evolving as quickly as we can evolve, apparently. But for us women to know it, like if we don't know it and we don't hold true to it, and if we even have a story, one thing I didn't mention is a lot of times women have shame because they think their pussy's supposed to look a certain way, right? Because we've been like with all sorts of like body types and standards of beauty. There's apparently a pussy standard out there that have been portrayed in media and porn and wherever else. And women are like, oh, I don't look like that. And not realizing that, and this is what's so great about having an oracle reading, because I'm seeing your story in the unique design, and your design can't be any other design because it's designed for you uniquely. And so, but if we as women have any barrier to knowing the divinity of the sacred part of ourselves, we will consistently get ourselves into trouble in life that doesn't feel so good, and really hold ourselves back in ways that there's no reason to be held back. Because women, and men have said this, when we really know our power, and not just know our power, like again, for the almost 2 decades of my existence before I got into this pussy work, I was like, no, women's power, women's power. And then I realized, oh my gosh, the night I was initiated, well, I'll quickly just share this and we can wrap up. Because
Yes.
so how I got initiated into this was, there was one night I'd actually led, real quick, I was teaching women's workshops and doing a whole big thing. And I ended up blowing up my brand because it just felt misaligned with I wasn't actually living the message that I was teaching women. And so something was off. So I had a big gap in my life that allowed a big, like, okay, pushing all this ego stuff and personality brand away to just be me. And so pussy had a chance to actually speak to me where I didn't have all this noise. So that was a big piece. And 4 months after that big upheaval, I had led a workshop, a weekend retreat for women that they were part of my program. Even though I'd blown up my brand, they were still part of this program. I had a year to fulfill. And I led this beautiful retreat, and it was an amazing retreat, and the women got a lot out of it. But then I actually had another event the next night for couples. And in that evening, it was a very magical evening. We did some sacred ceremony stuff. And that's where I had, for the first time, a woman there had asked me, she's like, can I see your pussy? And I thought, what is she asking this for? Like, she was an instigator, and she was all pussy powered woman. And she's like, I want to see your pussy. And I'm like, and I had actually created this beautiful red tent temple for my weekend retreat, which I had left up for this other event. And so we pull up this worship station, and we're in front of this altar, and I'm like, all right. And since I'd been to the school, Womanly Arts, I was like, no big deal. I lay down, I spread my legs, and her and this other woman were like, oh my gosh, does your pussy look like that? And she's like, no, what does yours look like? And in that moment, I realized that women don't even know that pussies are different. Like that was like such a shocker to them. And so they're like, why aren't we doing this? And I thought, you're right. Why aren't we doing this? And then I think we got distracted, and we didn't end up giving each of them a turn. But something clicked for me. And throughout the night, I would go up to different women who were in the event. It was a celebratory event, and people were all over the place. And I would say to women, there's a pussy worship station inside the temple. If you want to get your pussy worship, let's go. And I didn't even know why I was saying this. It was literally like spirit took over me, and I was just speaking on pussy's behalf. And a couple of women were like, yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know, right? Who's ready for that? But by the end of the night, one woman said yes. And that was all I needed. And we went into the temple, And I started channeling, like, actually she grabbed my hand and I was like, there's something going on more than what I think is going on here, but I'm not sure, but I'm just going to guide her to the worship station and we're going to do this thing. And I started literally channeling this ritual. And it was really beautiful. And, oh yeah. And then we'll get to the questions in a second. And then, so anyways, the point being, I ended up guiding this woman through this ritual. Unbeknownst to me at the time, I was doing a pussy reading on her. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. And in hindsight, I learned along the way that that's what I was doing. And it's a bigger, longer story. But anyways, it turns out this woman actually had scar tissue on her inner labia because she had been sexually abused. And then later in life, she she self-mutilated and she ended up having scar tissue.
Oh.
Yeah, like real trauma, physical trauma on her inner labia. And there I was with her in the middle of this ritual. There's no going back. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get this woman to love her pussy no matter what, scar tissue and all. Jeez. And by the grace of the divine God and goddess that was with me that night, I was able to help her overcome. And a lot of it was I took a picture. I showed her all the visions that I saw, which again, I didn't realize I was oracling, but I was. And she transformed, and she transformed so much that the next day she was a different woman, and she embraced herself so much that now she's actually out there in the world, helping people have better sex and loving their bodies and their pussies. And and I realized, oh my goodness, I just spent 3 days with my women from my course. And sure, we got somewhere, but I spent literally, I think it was maybe a 3-hour process at the time, 3 hours with this woman and her pussy, and she was completely transformed. And that's when I realized you cannot leave pussy out of this equation. Pussy has to be the number one place that we start as women in order to really transform who we believe ourselves to be and stand in our power. And without that, we'll get there, maybe, sort of, but we're always going to be short of the mark, because pussy is where the most power and the most magic resides for us. And that's basically how I got here. And then there's a lot more to it, a lot of magic and crazy stories that you can hop on my Facebook group and watch my Facebook Live to hear the rest of it.
Yeah, fascinating. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, bless you for this incredible support and transformation. That's wonderful. That's really beautiful. Whatever ways work for us, at the end of the day, it's like it's to really listen to what is our true calling. Hey, because I believe we all have a uniqueness about us, according to our own story and our own passion and our own personal transformation. It's it's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sierra. And I just want to mention, we're going to close that. So you've mentioned pretty much where people can find you, and about confidentiality, if anyone is worried about that, which I was, she's very well organized, Sierra, because there's when I took my photo, there's a place when you can hide the photo on your phone. It's not shared if you don't want to, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be public. I haven't been public about it. It's very safe. There's a whole process. It's very, very safe. The way, so, if you don't want to share that, if it's not where you're at, and it's totally respectable wherever we're at, and whatever we want to share or not share is totally a personal choice. And so, it's very well organized. She's very passionate, and she's also very well organized, and that's important. That's an important part of it, too, because at the end of the day, we want to feel safe, right?
Yeah.
So now so this is wonderful. Thank you 1 million times for this share, Sierra, and for the amazing ladies. I mean, I only know amazing ladies. The ladies who are here, I tell you what, they rock my world. They're amazing. And so I'm just wondering, in terms of if we want to go to questions, if the ladies here, you prefer we stop the recording for the questions? I'm just asking because it's something that, if you prefer that we stop the recording, or you happy to share on the recording, if you can just let us know in the chat box, that would be fantastic. Nice. We've got a question here, I think, but if you If you can just let us know whether you want to be public about it or not, because we've got one question I think here. But are you happy, Cal, to go live? Yes, you're happy with that. What about you, Kim? Do you want to go live with that or not?
Mm-hmm.
Then just let us know. That'll be good.
Yeah, well, it sounds like at least that first question, she doesn't mind if I share it.
Okay, good. Okay.
So do I do any teaching involving jade egg?
You want to unmute her or?
Oh, well, she has it right here in the chat, so I can actually post
great.
a question
No worries.
right there. Yeah, beautiful. I do not yet. I actually am working on.
Let's just read the question for because the recording. So Sierra, this talk is my introduction to your work. Do you do any teaching involving jade egg practice?
Mm-hmm. Not at this point. I can recommend some really, really amazing teachers who do that. One of them being my dear friend, Saida Desilets, who was responsible for actually popularizing the jade egg.
How do you spell her name?
Saida, let me see,
Saida.
Saida. Wait, yeah, Saida.
Oh, she's done her class. She said she's done her class.
Okay, right? Cool. Great. Yeah, perfect. And I'm actually figuring out my own yoni egg practice. You know, I've been carrying my yoni egg around. I took a class from actually Layla Martin, who's another great teacher. She has the jade egg class as well. Really, really great teacher and a very popular sex educator, Layla Martin. Yeah, so I'm not quite versed in that. My courses tend to be more sacred, experiential, and reclamation oriented, and manifestation. And then I recently started teaching a class around female ejaculations. So I'm not sure if I'm going to bring that class back, but I started offering that and I teach from not so much how to, but more from how to know your body and surrender into your sacredness and into the ability to release your sacred waters. So a slightly different flavor from that's concerned, because I really want a woman to really know herself, know her pussy, know her pleasure, know her ability to surrender, trust her body, trust her portal, trust her wisdom. And so that tends to be my lens of, teaching, I guess.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, yay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there any other Kim's driving, so she does some work with embodiment. Like I had a few sessions with her. She's pretty amazing. And Cal's an extraordinary coach, relationship, I'd say. Cal, she's an amazing woman who has just these two have been incredible support in my life. I'm so grateful. And we attract who we are.
Yes.
I'm gonna say in a cheeky way. Not that I take it back. It's all an exchange of energy. So another question. I'm also interested in learning yoni massage. Is that part of your ejaculation course? Sarah.
These are great. It's like my thing is about more the esoteric and the spiritual and the knowing of your body and embodiment, but not so much when it comes to touch or, jade egg or sexuality pieces. The Amrita course is, I never teach. I wish I knew more about yoni massage. I've got to go to school. I feel like sometimes I'm like, I should go to school for all this stuff. But really my main thing is helping women reclaim their divinity through their sacred portals and knowing their sacred portals, and then using the power of your sacred portal to then create your life from that. And so the Amrita class is more about knowing what it is, letting go of your shame, again, trusting your surrender, listening to your body, breathing and connecting into that sacred spot. But I haven't really stepped into any touch work at this point. And I may not ever. We'll see.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's good to know. It's good to know what is it that we share, and sometimes it can take a lifetime. It's incremental, and it keeps evolving as our own journey. We evolve. Yeah, that's wonderful. Is there any other questions questions? If not,
There's one
we
more, Calandra. And do you find that a regular practice is necessary to really open into that divinity? I'm not quite sure what you mean, a regular practice of what? I would say, maybe you can type the question again, but I would say that one of the things that I tell every single woman that comes across my path and is interested and curious about the just pussy awakening work is to have direct and regular communication with your pussy and have a picture of her so that you can see. And if you're not comfortable with an actual picture of her, there's a great app called PixArt, which you can create fun designs. And so you can have, you've been using it, right? It's so good. So you can have a really cool picture of your pussy on your altar or on your phone as a screensaver, or, you know, somewhere framed even. And nobody else will know it's your pussy, but you will. And I find that that is a great practice to be in direct communication with her. Because again, I'm a visual person, and out of sight, out of mind. So if I'm not seeing my pussy, I have a hard time remembering to connect with her, even me. And I actually went so far as to have a portrait painted of my pussy from, I had a friend who does pussy portrait paintings, and he painted it very real. So I have a picture, a very beautiful painting of my pussy that I would have on my wall, and I would be able to see her every day and connect with her that way. And then of course, touching her just sexually, or just every morning, almost every morning I wake up, I put one hand on my heart, one hand on my pussy. I say hello. I feel, you know, gratitude, and I make the connection, because I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I think our heart, our pussy, and our throats, right? Our voices, like those are the three power centers for us.
Yes,
women.
Absolutely. I really align with that. Yeah, totally connected. That's beautiful. Great. Well, that's been a pretty fun, juicy, rich conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that. And yeah, it reminded me how much I love interviewing. So more of it, please, universe. I just love it so much. Sort of great elevating conversation, conscious conversations. It's so good. And so thank you for being here today, all of you, and for your share, Sierra. Really beautiful to connect with you again. And my last little question is, like, from where I'm at personally with, okay, I had a reading, I've got the video, the recording, I've got my module back. I've got, you know, I'm back into like sexuality, pleasure, all of that, like full on, actually.
Yeah, girl.
Full on. All the way, baby. I'm about to launch an amazing workshop called Cracking the Code of Speaking Your Truth.
Oh,
so I'm
wow.
super excited about that. Yeah, so that's on the 2nd of September. So I've got a lot of putting out there today of that, with speaking our own voice and voicing out, like, you know, my work is really about the embodiment of our own voice. You know, it's really and in a playful way. I resonate with you with that playful way, and so I'm launching that. And so my question is, like, when you had a reading, what do you do? How do you work with it afterwards? And we're just going to close that because we're just past the time and wrap up. But what can I do now that I've got the recording, that I've got the awareness, that I'm connected to my pussy? How can I flourish even more to manifest even more joy and abundance and truth, to manifest truth? How can I, you know, what can I do with that?
Well, for sure, if I had identified some particular practices in your reading, I don't remember, you know, you're more familiar, and sort of like, for me, I do the reading and then I move it along.
Sure.
But if there were particular practices that were identified, then keep doing those practices, because those are going to be essential. What I'm looking to create in the near future, I've been a little tied up with this other piece of my business, which is for couples, is to create a format, an ongoing format, probably like a low-cost membership group where we can be, those of us who've had readings could be in more dialogue, because I find that I'm even thinking like another reading down the line is helpful. Like, it's like consulting the oracle, not me as the oracle, but your pussy as the oracle. It can be an ongoing thing, because the messages that you got the first time were relevant to that moment and maybe relevant for life. And then there might be a second thing. So what I would suggest for you, and this is, I had one woman come and do 2 readings, and a lot of times she got revalidated on the initial information that was like, oh, right, yep, I need to be doing that. So if there are practices, be doing that. And 2, I would, sit with your pussy and the pictures that you took, if you still have them, or take new ones, and see what she might show you continuously, right? Because you can learn to read yourself ultimately, right? So
of course. That was part when I had my reading with you. I contributed a lot. Like I saw things myself.
Exactly.
It's like a co-creation, a collaboration somehow.
Exactly.
Like once you're awakened and well aware of yourself. Yeah, because we know what we know. I mean, we know so much. We pretend we don't, but we know so much more than. Yeah, it's just the condition. It can be blurry by so much conditioning and mind stuff, shit, and fears and judgment of giving our power away. Not that, I mean, everyone's got a gift for sure, but what I mean is, like, when we, like people activate us, like you activated something in me. So I think we're more sort of, activators in some areas that have been a bit more dormant. That's how I see. That's my truth anyway. That's how I see.
That's why we need community, sisterhood, tribe. Right?
True. Because we've got blind spots, and our sisters, our brothers, they can actually help us to shine the light onto something that's been hidden or that needs a bit more love.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
So and then the other thing I'll just say is remembering your symbols, like for example, Ganesh, the remover of obstacles, right?
Yes.
And when and maybe even just remembering some of the symbols. And so when an obstacle comes up, or when something like that's your superpower, like that's something that you can do for others because it's a symbol and a knowing of your own divine design. Yes. So practicing some of that stuff, being aware, especially as you step into this beautiful work with helping women awaken their voice. Talk about removing an obstacle, right? You said cracking the code. Yeah. So you are doing that. You're stepping into work where you're helping women literally remove the obstacle that's keeping them from speaking their truth. So you're totally living on your own divine design.
There's no, I mean, it's my own healing, been shut down. And so I had a speech impediment. I had so much insecurities, and I'm such a communicator. It's obvious, I love to talk and I love to sing. I mean, these are my main passions. They're just how I get orgasms. Like, it just brings so much joy in my heart through voice and through communication. I'm like, hello, it's obvious that's my thing, but it's been very suppressed and shut down in my education. That's my path. That's been to reawaken the truth of self-expression. That's what I'm all about, like self-expression. And I think otherwise, if we underexpressed, same with pussy. If the pussy is not like having a juicy life, an expensive life, it's like, well, there's a whole way. I don't want to use missing out, but it's like a flower not fully blossoming, not fully opening. There's still, it's just to a certain level of expansion that, so it's like, wow, just open the whole thing, the whole range, which takes courage. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes time, and it takes the willingness to wanting to do that.
Yes. Everybody.
So wonderful.
It takes a willingness.
So thank you, everybody. If we're going to stop the recording, if we want to just have a little private chat after that. Thank you, the people who are going to watch on the replay. Enjoy. Reach out to Sierra Sullivan.
Come join
the secrets of the universe, the Pussy Collective. Anick Patry, here, coach, speaker, and on communication and voice, and healer. And so, just reach out at us. Any questions you want to know further? You want the enjoy the replay. I
Mhm.
will put it out to I will put it out there for people to get access to it. And
Beautiful.
thank you a million times, Sierra, and all the beautiful ladies here. Thank you. Big hug. Much, much love. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze.
Thank
For now,
you.
we'll stop the
Yeah.
recording.
All right.